Chosen one, welcome. Welcome to this quiet sanctuary, beyond the noise of your day, beyond the weight you have been carrying on your shoulders, and beyond everything that has been pulling your mind in 1,000 different directions. I'm truly grateful that you are here in this moment, choosing peace, choosing stillness, choosing yourself. Before we begin, I gently invite you to stay with me until the very end of this journey. This story, this meditation, this night sit's full blessing unfolds slowly, like a lotus opening under the moonlight. Every moment has been crafted to guide you deeper into calmness, deeper into release, and deeper into a silence that your heart has been longing for. As I speak to you now, I feel the subtle shift in your breathing, the way your body is already beginning to soften. Maybe you are lying down, or maybe you are sitting in a dim room with your eyes half closed, letting the world fall away bit by bit. Wherever you are, I want you to know this: you are safe here. You are seen. You are held. In this space, nothing is demanded of you. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to pretend. You can finally let your inner walls relax. Tonight, I will take you with me into a story, my story, and yet it is also yours. A journey into a peaceful Buddhist path where I learned the art of letting go, not as a lesson from a book, but as a truth etched into the quiet moments of my life. But before the story begins, I want you to take a slow, gentle breath with me. Inhale, feel the cool air touching the inside of your chest, and exhale, letting go just a little of whatever has been weighing your mind as I welcome you. I can almost sense the subtle tension in your thoughts, memories you didn't choose to remember tonight, worries you didn't invite, but they still arrived, responsibilities that cling to your mind long after the sun has set. All of that can rest now. For the next hour, you are not required to solve anything. You are not required to carry anything. Every sound, every word, every silence in this meditation has come to support you, like a guiding lantern hanging just above your path in the night. I know what it feels like to reach a point where the mind becomes too loud, where sleep feels distant, where you close your eyes, but the world inside them refuses to be quiet. That is why I'm here, and that is why this story exists, and that is why I'm asking you gently, lovingly, to stay with me to the end. Not because I need it, but because you do. Tonight is not about entertainment. It is about release. Soft release. Quiet release. The kind that happens slowly, without force, like autumn leaves drifting off a branch when the breeze is ready. As you listen, allow my voice to become a calm river flowing beside you. Feel the edges of your body loosening. Feel your breath deepening on its own. Feel the thoughts that were crowding your mind starting to take a step back. You don't have to push them away. Just let them drift, like clouds that pass without asking your permission. The world has been asking too much of you lately, hasn't it? Too many expectations, too many voices, too much noise. Tonight, I ask for nothing from you except presence. Just be here in this peaceful moment with me. Imagine that you are closing the gate behind you, leaving the frantic world on the other side. Here, in this quiet temple of sound and breath, you are free. In a moment, I will take you with me on a journey into the mountains, into the heart of a Zen sanctuary where the art of letting go changed my life. But first, simply allow this soft welcome to wrap around you like a blanket of moonlight. Let the day melt away. Let your mind slow down. Let your spirit settle like dust gently falling to the ground after being stirred. You have arrived, chosen one, and nothing else is required of you now. Stay until the end. Trust the path. Let tonight be the night your heart finally exhales. Chosen one. When I look back on the journey that brought me to the gates of the monastery, it feels like remembering a dream I once lived inside a dream, woven with exhaustion, wandering, and a quiet longing I could not name at the time. I was not always someone who sought peace. I was simply someone who was tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but the kind that comes from carrying invisible burdens for far too long. I remember the evening it all began. The sky was painted in fading gold as the last light of the distant hills. I had been walking for hours, maybe days. Time felt blurry then. The path beneath my feet was uneven, a mixture of stones and dust that clung to my sandals. Every step felt heavier than the last, but I kept moving because something inside me whispered that I had to. There was no clear destination in my mind, only movement, only a quiet hope that somewhere ahead there would be a place where my restless spirit could finally settle. The world around me felt strangely quiet that day. Even the wind seemed reluctant to speak. My breath, uneven and shallow, echoed in my chest as if reminding me how long I had lived without truly resting. My shoulders ached from the weight of a small bag I carried, though the truth was the heaviest thing I carried was my own past memories, regrets, fears, and unanswered questions that pressed down on my heart more than any physical burden ever could. As I walked, I thought about the life I had left behind, the people, the noise, the responsibilities that once shaped my days. I thought about the countless nights I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the world spinning inside my mind with no way to slow it down. I thought about the way I pushed myself, convinced that if I just kept moving faster, achieving more, pleasing everyone, I would eventually feel whole. But the opposite had happened. The more I tried to hold everything together, the more fragmented I became. I remember passing through a small village at the foot of the hill. The villagers were closing their shops for the night. Lanterns hung from wooden beams, swaying gently as if bowing to the evening breeze. Children laughed in the distance, chasing each other in a fading light. It was such a simple moment, yet it struck me deeply. Their laughter reminded me of a time when I, too, had lived lightly before the weight of adulthood, expectation, and self-doubt had settled on my shoulders. I paused, watching them, feeling a strange ache in my chest. It wasn't sadness, exactly. It was longing. A longing for simplicity, for clarity, for peace. But peace was still far away from me. So I kept walking as the sun finally slipped behind the mountains. Shadows stretched across the land like long arms reaching for my tired feet. A coolness settled in the air, the kind that makes you aware of how fragile and human you really are. My pace slowed, not because I wanted it to, but because my body refused to go any faster. Every part of me was tired. My bones, my breath, my thoughts, even the very sense of who I was. The road began to climb gently upward. Tall grass rustled on both sides of the path, whispering secrets the wind carried from the mountains. I listened, even though I could not understand. It felt as if nature itself was aware of my fatigue, urging me forward, telling me that I was close to something. Though I didn't know what, night fell gradually, as though the sky did not want to disturb me with a sudden shift. Stars emerged, one by one, shyly at first, then with more confidence, filling the sky like scattered pearls. I looked up at them, feeling both small and strangely comforted. They had watched countless wanderers like me. They had seen lives rise and fall, happiness bloom and fade, pain come and go. And yet they remained steady, unbothered, endlessly patient. In their presence, my own struggles felt less permanent, less defining. The path grew darker, but I did not stop. Something guided me, maybe instinct, maybe hope, maybe desperation. The cool night air brushed against my skin. Waking senses, I thought, had gone numb. My breath became softer, paced with the rhythm of the earth. My mind, however, could not rest. Thoughts flickered like restless flames, regrets, what-ifs, unfinished dreams, silent disappointments. All the things I had tried to bury resurfaced with each step I took. A memory came to me then, one that had haunted me for years. A moment when I said something I shouldn't have, hurting someone who did nothing but care for me. Their disappointed eyes had followed me like a shadow ever since. Another memory surfaced of opportunities I let slip away because I was afraid of failing. Then came the memories of loved ones I had lost. Goodbyes I never got to say, and promises I broke unintentionally, simply because I didn't know how to carry them anymore. These memories swirled inside me until I felt their weight pressing into my chest. I stopped walking and placed my hand over my heart, feeling its unsteady rhythm. "I'm tired," I whispered into the night, not to anyone, not expecting an answer, just speaking the truth aloud for the first time in years. And something curious happened. The moment I admitted my exhaustion, something inside me softened. It felt like a knot that had been tied tight for too long was slowly loosening. I didn't feel lighter, not yet, but I felt honest. And honesty was something I hadn't allowed myself in a long time. I started walking again, slower now, more aware of each step. The night deepened. Crickets began their songs, weaving a gentle sound that felt almost like a lullaby. A faint scent of pine drifted through the air, reminding me of a forest I visited once as a child. I remember feeling safe in that forest, wrapped by nature, untouched by the world's noise. The memory warmed me from within. As the path curved, I noticed a soft glow in the distance, warm, steady, like the light of a lantern. I didn't know what it was, but it pulled me like gravity. Every step toward it felt like stepping closer to something ancient, something sacred, something I had unknowingly sought for years. My feet ached, my back throbbed. My mind was still a storm, but that glow, that silent, welcoming glow, kept calling me. I breathed in deeply, letting the cool mountain air fill my lungs. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I allowed myself to hope, not for success, not for achievement, not for answers. I hoped only for rest, for a moment of stillness, for a place where my wandering heart could finally lay down its burdens. I didn't know it then, but I was walking toward a monastery hidden deep within the mountains, a place where Zen masters practiced the art of letting go, a place where silence taught louder truths than words ever could, a place where I would rediscover myself in ways I could never have imagined. But at that moment, I was simply a wanderer, a tired soul searching for a moment of peace in a world that rarely offered it. The glow ahead grew brighter, guiding me step by step. And though I did not know what awaited me there, I kept walking softly, steadily toward the beginning of a journey that would change everything. And so, chosen one, my tired feet carried me onward, deeper into the night, deeper into the mountains, deeper into the story I now share with you. A story born from exhaustion, shaped by wandering, and destined to lead toward the gentle art of letting go. Chosen one. As I moved closer to that soft, warm glow shimmering ahead of me. Something inside my chest began to shift slowly, quietly, like a door creaking open after being sealed for years. The path beneath my feet narrowed, winding like a ribbon between tall trees whose dark silhouettes rose toward the sky like ancient guardians. The air grew cooler, yet strangely comforting, as if the night itself was guiding me toward a place where I was meant to arrive. The glow became clearer with each step. It wasn't the harsh brightness of a city lamp or the trembling flicker of a torch. It was gentle, steady, woven with a softness that felt alive. My tired legs trembled, not from fear, but from a silent anticipation I didn't fully understand. The deeper into the forested mountain path I went, the more the world around me seemed to change. The sounds of insects grew faint. The wind softened into a peaceful hum. Even my own thoughts, which had been a storm only moments before, began to quiet, as though respecting the sacredness of where I was headed. I followed the path until it opened into a clearing. There, nestled between the shadows of tall cedars and still pools of moonlight, stood a wooden gate, weathered, ancient, and beautifully simple. Its beams were darkened with age, yet perfectly intact, as though time had tried and failed to wear it down. Hanging from the top was a round paper lantern, glowing softly, illuminating the air with a calm, golden hue. The gate felt less like an entrance and more like a threshold between worlds. As I stepped closer, my breath grew shallow, and I felt a strange flutter in my stomach. It wasn't fear. It was recognition, like the feeling of returning to a place you've never been, yet somehow always remembered. I reached out and gently touched the wooden frame of the gate. It was smooth beneath my fingers, warmed slightly by the lantern's glow. In that moment, the night around me seemed to pause. Even the wind held its breath. I closed my eyes briefly and listened. Beyond the gate, I could hear the soft rustling of leaves, the distant whisper of flowing water, and the faint hum of chanting carried by the breeze. The sound was so peaceful, so harmoniously alive, that it felt like my heart was being tuned to a frequency it had long forgotten. Slowly, I stepped through the gate. As soon as I crossed to the other side, the world felt different, softer, lighter. The path beyond the gate was covered in smooth stones that glowed faintly under the moonlight. Bamboo lined both sides, swaying gently as if welcoming me. Lanterns hung from wooden posts, each one casting a warm, serene light across the path. It felt like walking into a living dream, quiet and deeply calming. A sense of profound safety washed over me. Safe in a way I hadn't felt in years. Safe in a way that reached into the very core of my being. I continued walking, guided by the golden lanterns, The air smelled of sandalwood and fresh rain, even though no rain had fallen. Every breath I took felt like a healing balm, soothing the tightness in my chest. The chanting grew clearer, now loud. Not demanding, just a gentle rhythm rising and falling like waves against a shore. As I turned a corner, I saw the monastery for the first time. It was breathtaking in its simplicity. Tall wooden structures stood in perfect harmony with the landscape. Their roofs curved gently upward, their dark tiles glistening under the moon's silver light. Paper windows glowed softly from within, like warm eyes watching over the night. In the center of the courtyard was a small pond, perfectly still, reflecting the stars and lanterns so clearly that it looked like a doorway into another sky. I stood there in silence, letting my tired soul absorb the peace radiating from this sacred place. My body felt as if it wanted to sink into the earth itself, to rest, to release, to belong. Just then, I noticed a figure by the pond. An elderly monk stood there. His robe, a simple shade of faded saffron, his posture straight yet relaxed. His hands were clasped gently behind his back. His head was shaved, and the soft lantern light reflected off the smooth curve of his skull. He seemed to be admiring the reflection of the moon on the water, completely lost in the quietness of the moment. I hesitated. I didn't know if I should disturb him or simply observe in silence. But before I could decide, he slowly turned his head toward me. Our eyes met in his gaze. I felt something I cannot fully explain: recognition, understanding, compassion, so deep it felt ancient. It was as if he had been expecting me, as if he knew every weary step I had taken to arrive here, as if he could see the invisible burdens on my shoulders without a single word passing between us. I felt my throat tighten, the kind of tightness that comes when someone finally sees you after a long time of feeling invisible. He raised one hand slowly and made a small gesture for me to come closer. My feet moved almost on their own. Each step toward him felt like sinking deeper into a soft cloud of peace. When I reached him, he smiled, not the wide, eager smile of greeting, but a slow, gentle, almost timeless smile that said more than words ever could. "You have walked far," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Yet it carried through the quiet night with ease. I nodded, unable to speak. My voice felt trapped somewhere behind all the emotions rising inside me. "You are safe here," he continued, turning his gaze back to the pond. "The mountains brought you to us. They do not guide without purpose." I felt a shiver run through me, not from cold, but from the sense of truth in his words. It felt as though the mountains, the path, the silence, the lanterns, everything had been gently pulling me toward this place for much longer than I realized. The monk began to walk along the stone path, and I followed beside him. He moved slowly, his steps so light they barely made a sound. We passed another wooden building where distant chanting vibrated softly through the walls. I felt the sound inside my chest, like a gentle heartbeat, not my own. He stopped beside a small wooden bench beneath a cherry tree whose branches stretched wide like open arms. Without speaking, he sat down and gestured for me to sit beside him. When I sat, the wood creaked gently under my weight. A blossom drifted from above, landing softly beside my hand. I watched it settle, feeling an unexpected rush of emotion. The monk watched me quietly, letting me settle into the stillness. Finally, he said, "You carry a storm within you." The words hit me like truth, carved in stone. I lowered my eyes, feeling the sting behind them. For a moment, I couldn't speak. Then, my voice came out softly, barely audible. "I'm tired." "I know," he replied. There was no judgment in his tone, no surprise, only acceptance deep and unconditional. "Tonight," he said, "you will rest. Tomorrow, you will learn. And, in time, you will let go." The breeze rustled the leaves above us. A lantern flickered in the distance. My breath trembled, but not from fear, from relief. For the first time in so long, I felt like I didn't have to hold everything together. Not here, not in this place. We sat in silence for a long time. The night wrapped around us like a gentle embrace. Slowly, the storm inside me began to quiet, not disappear, but soften, like rain easing into a gentle drizzle after hours of downpour. Eventually, the monk rose and guided me toward a small guest room with a sliding wooden door. Inside, the room was simpler, soft mat on the floor, a folded blanket, a small table with a single candle. But the simplicity felt like a blessing. A space where nothing unnecessary existed. A space where I could breathe again as I stepped inside. The dawn will bring clarity. And with that, he slipped away into the night, leaving me alone in the quiet sanctuary of the monastery. I lay down on the mat, feeling its softness cradle my aching body. The candlelight flickered gently, casting slow-moving shadows on the walls. As I closed my eyes, the distant chanting mingled with the night breeze, creating a lullaby unlike anything I had ever heard. For the first time in a long time, my heart loosened its grip on the past. My breath deepened, my mind softened, and as sleep began to pull me into its gentle arms, I felt a truth rising from deep within. I had arrived, not just at a place, but at a moment in my life when I was finally ready to begin again, ready to release, ready to let go, And this monastery, this quiet sanctuary in the mountains, would become the doorway to that transformation, chosen one. When dawn finally arrived at the monastery, it did not come with haste or brilliance. It came softly, so softly that at first I did not know whether I was waking into the world or drifting deeper into a dream. The faint glow of morning seeped through the thin paper walls of my room, painting the air with a warm, silvery calm. For a moment, I simply lay there, listening to the slow, rhythmic breathing of the mountain around me. Somewhere in the distance, a wooden bell chimed, its deep tone expanding through the valley like a gentle heartbeat. I sat up slowly. My body felt different, lighter, almost unfamiliar. The storm that had raged in my mind the night before had quieted into a soft, steady mist. I took a deep breath and felt the crisp morning air kiss my lungs. When I slid the door open, I saw the world outside wrapped in a thin veil of fog. The pond shimmered like a sacred mirror. Dew clung to the bamboo leaves like tiny jewels. It felt as though the entire mountain had been reborn overnight, and I, wandering, weary, had been invited to witness that rebirth. The old monk was already awake. I saw him standing near the pond, sweeping fallen blossoms from the stone path. His movements were slow, deliberate, almost dance-like. He seemed to move, not to clear the path, but to honor it. There was a sacredness in every motion, as if even the act of sweeping was a form of prayer. When he noticed me, he paused and smiled with quiet warmth. "You slept," he said, not as a question, but as a gentle acknowledgement. I nodded, "Better than I have in years." He nodded back, as though the mountains themselves approved. "Then today," he said, "we begin." We walked together through the courtyard in silence. Not an awkward silence, but a silence that felt alive, filled with meaning, observation, breath, and presence. The air carried the scent of incense drifting from one of the temple halls. A few monks moved gracefully between buildings, their robes swaying like soft whispers. None rushed, none hurried. Every motion was peaceful, purposeful. Rooted dot, we reached a small meditation garden encircled by smooth stones and moss-covered earth. The monk gestured for me to sit with him under a persimmon tree. Its fruits hung like small suns, glowing faintly in the early light. He placed a small bowl between us. Its surface was glossy and dark, reflecting the sky like a pool of still water. "This bowl," he said, lifting it gently, "is like the mind." It felt cool, solid, simple. "When we are born," he continued, "it is empty, clear, able to hold truth, peace, joy." Then he gathered handfuls of pebbles from the ground and began dropping them into the bowl, one by one. Each pebble landed with a tiny sounded tap. A click, a dull thud. "This one is fear," he said, dropping the first pebble. Tap, double quotes. "This one is regret." Tap. This is the memory of a harsh word someone spoke to you long ago. Click. This is the mistake you replay in your mind at night. Thud. He continued, dropping pebbles until the bowl was filled almost to the rim. The weight of it pressed into my palms. "Do you feel it?" he asked. "Yes," I whispered. "It's heavy." Just like the mind becomes heavy when we carry too much. I nodded, looking down at the bowl. The pebbles inside, it seemed to echo every burden I had carried for years. "Now," he said, "tell me, if I pour fresh water into this bowl, what will happen?" "It will overflow," I replied. "And what will remain?" "The stones." "Exactly," he said softly. "When the mind is full of burdens, no new peace can enter. Peace comes not from adding, but from removing." He motioned for me to tilt the bowl. I slowly tipped it over, letting the stones spill onto the ground. They rolled away gently, some settling near my feet, others disappearing among the moss. The bowl in my hands felt suddenly weightless, empty, clear. The monk smiled. "This is letting go. Not forcefully, not in anger. A release." I stared at the empty bowl, feeling the meaning settle inside me like warm tea filling an empty cup. He took the bowl back and set it aside. Then he folded his legs beneath him and straightened his spine. "Let me tell you something," he said. "Letting go is not forgetting. It is not rejecting. It is not pretending life has no pain. Letting go is making space for truth." He closed his eyes. "Letting go," he said slowly, "is remembering that you do not need to carry what was never meant for you." His words drifted into me like soft wind through tall grass. Something inside me trembled. An old knot, an old wound, an old weight I had carried for so long that I forgot how to live without it. "Close your eyes," he whispered. I obeyed. Now breathing deeply, I inhaled. The cold mountain air filled my lungs. Breathe out. Slowly, I exhaled. Some tiny tension in my shoulders loosened. Again, he said gently, in and out. With each breath, the sound of the world around me grew clearer, the distant chanting, the rustle of bamboo, the soft trickle of water from a nearby fountain. Breath, he said, is the first teaching. Breath is the bridge between body and spirit. Breath is the doorway through which we enter the present moment. I felt my mind shift away from memories of yesterday, away from worries of tomorrow. You wander, the monk continued quietly. Not because you are lost in the world, but because you are lost in your thoughts." His words struck me like lightning wrapped in silk dot. He continued, "Thoughts come and go like birds across the sky. You can watch them, listen to them, but you do not need to follow them." I inhaled deeply again, letting his teaching sink into every corner of my being. "Now," he said softly, "let us practice." We sat there under the persimmon tree, the early morning sun slowly warming the earth. The monk guided me through the first meditation of letting go, not with force, not with effort, but with simple, quiet awareness. "Bring to mind one thing," he instructed, "one burden you have carried for too long." I felt my chest tighten. There were many burdens, too many, but I chose one, the memory of a failure that had haunted me for years. A moment I had replayed endlessly in my mind. "See it," he said. "Name it. Acknowledge it. Do not run from it." The memory rose, heavy and sharp. I felt myself wanting to push it away, to deny it, to bury it again. "Now," he whispered, "imagine placing that burden onto your open palm." I lifted my hand slightly, imagining the memory sitting there, like one of the stones from the bowl. "It is not you," he said. "It is only something you hold." I felt my breath tremble. "And now," he continued, "imagine your hand opening." I opened my hand. "Let it fall." My fingers loosened. In my mind, the weight slipped away, falling into the earth, dissolving into the soil like a drop of water returning to the sea. My breath suddenly deepened. My shoulders relaxed. My chest softened. Something inside me shifted. Something old. Something heavy. The monk opened his eyes and looked at me. "Do you feel it?" he whispered. "Yes," I said, my voice trembling. "I feel lighter." That is letting go. Not all at once, but moment by moment, breath by breath. We sat in silence again, letting his words settle into the quiet morning air. When he finally spoke again, his voice was even softer. "To hold is to suffer. To release is to return to peace." He turned his gaze toward the mountains rising in the distance. "These mountains have existed for thousands of years," he said. "They have watched storms come and go. They have seen rivers shift, forests burn, generations rise and fall. Yet they remain untouched in their essence." I followed his gaze, watching the peaks bathed in golden morning light. "Be like the mountain," he said. "Let the storms pass. Let the winds roar. Let life unfold. But do not let anything take away your inner stillness." His words were like water dripping into a parched well inside me. I felt something opening, expanding, breathing. He stood then, gently brushing off his robe. "Come," he said. "There is more to learn." He led me across the courtyard into another part of the monastery where monks were beginning their morning tasks, sweeping, meditating, chanting, tending to the gardens. Every action was done with full presence, full awareness, full devotion. There was no rush, no distraction, no tension. It was as though every movement was a continuation of meditation. The old monk guided me to a small wooden bridge that arched over a flowing stream. The water beneath sparkled in the sunlight, weaving around rocks with a gentle, musical sound. "Look at the water," he said. I leaned over and watched the stream move endlessly. Gracefully, this water flows because it does not cling, he explained. If it held on to any rock, any leaf, any fallen branch, it would stop moving. It would cease to be water. He dipped his fingers into the stream, letting droplets fall back into the flow. To live is to flow. To flow is to let go. He paused and looked at me with eyes that held centuries of wisdom. "You have spent your life clinging," he said gently. "Not because you are weak, but because you didn't know you could release." I felt tears rise behind my eyes, not out of sadness, but out of recognition. He was right. I had clung to pain, to memories, to guilt, to expectations, to people who had long stopped walking beside me. "Let me teach you something simple," he said. "Something powerful." He picked up a fallen leaf from the ground and held it above the stream. "This leaf represents everything you cling to." He placed it in my hand. "Now, place it gently on the water." My hand trembled as I lowered the leaf to the stream. The moment I released it, the water carried it away softly, smoothly, effortlessly. "Do you see?" he said. "Letting go is not destruction. It is liberation." We watched the leaf drift until it disappeared around a bend. "When you stop clinging," he continued, "you make space for peace, for wisdom, for joy, and most importantly, for yourself." His words settled into my heart like snow falling onto a quiet field. For the rest of the morning, he taught me more: the art of mindful walking, where each step is an anchor to the present moment; the practice of silent observation, where the world becomes a mirror reflecting the truth within; the acceptance of impermanence, the understanding that nothing, no emotion, no experience, no sorrow lasts forever. And at the center of it all, the essence of Zen: let go. Let go of what hurts. Let go of what confuses. Let go of what isn't yours. Let go of the stories you tell yourself. Let go of the past that keeps whispering into your present. Let go of the weight that keeps you from rising. The more he taught, the more a deep calm began to grow inside me. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't dramatic. It was slow, gentle, like dawn gradually brightening the sky. By midday, I found myself breathing differently, moving differently, seeing differently. I was not healed, not fully, but something profound had awakened inside me. A quiet truth, a stillness I had forgotten, a freedom I had never known. And as the old monk guided me toward the next lesson, I realized something. The journey was no longer about arriving somewhere. It was about releasing what had kept me from arriving. Within myself, the teachings of letting go had begun to reshape me from within, breath by breath, moment by moment, like a river carving its way through stone. And for the first time in my life, I was not afraid to let go. The night was settling gently over the monastery when my teacher motioned for me to follow him. His movements were slow, unhurried, almost as if the air itself carried him forward. I rose, feeling the quiet weight of stillness wrapping around my shoulders like a soft cloak. My breaths had grown slower over the past days, each one deeper, each one carrying away a little more tension. Even so, something inside me trembled with an emotion I couldn't yet name, somewhere between anticipation and surrender. He led me through a narrow stone passage, lit only by lanterns swaying in the whispering wind. The warm, golden glow brushed the walls, dancing softly like sunlight reflecting off a river. My footsteps echoed in the hallway, though gently, as if even the stones respected the silence of the night. As we stepped outside into the open courtyard, the moon spilled across the ground like silver silk. Crickets hummed in the distance, their rhythm slow and hypnotic. Without speaking, he walked toward the old wooden gate at the edge of the monastery. I followed, feeling the cool night air slide across my skin. The stars looked close, tonight closer than ever before, as if leaning in to listen. When we passed through the gate, he stopped and let me walk ahead, as if he already knew the path I was meant to take. As I stepped outside the monastery walls, everything became quieter, softer, almost dreamlike. "Tonight," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper, "you will walk into your own mind, and there you will rest." His words settled in me with a kind of warmth I cannot fully explain. For so long, my mind had been a battlefield, a place of noise, worry, memories I didn't want, expectations I couldn't escape. But now, in this sacred night, it felt like a vast open field waiting for me to breathe into it. The path stretched before us, lined with tall bamboo that swayed gently, their leaves brushing together like soft prayers. Every step I took made a delicate rustling sound in the fallen leaves beneath me. It was so quiet that I could hear my own pulse, slow, steady, almost melting into the rhythm of nature as I walked. My teacher remained behind me, though I felt his presence like a guiding lantern. He didn't need to speak. The silence itself had become the teaching. The deeper I walked into the bamboo forest, the more my thoughts began to loosen. I could feel them drifting away, thoughts I had held for years. Thoughts I had repeated so many times that they had become part of the air I breathed. Yet, tonight, they no longer clung to me. They floated off like tiny fireflies drifting toward the dark sky. I paused and placed my hand on one of the bamboo stalks. It swayed gently under my palm, bending but never breaking. Strong, yet soft. Rooted, yet flexible. I felt a kind of kinship with it, as if it was whispering, "You don't have to hold so tightly." The path soon opened into a clearing where a small pond shimmered beneath the moonlight. The surface of the water was perfectly still, reflecting the sky so perfectly that it looked like a window into another world. I sat at the edge of the pond and breathed in the cool scent of night water and moss. A soft breeze brushed against my cheek, and my body relaxed even further. Melting into the earth beneath me, my teacher sat beside me, folding his hands in his lap. He closed his eyes, and without a word, I followed. And then the world around me began to shift, not changing, but softening, as if the edges between things were dissolving. It started with my breath. Slow, deep, effortless. Inhalation felt like moonlight expanding inside my chest. Exhalation felt like releasing centuries of burdens. With each breath, the muscles in my face softened. My shoulders dropped. My spine relaxed. My heartbeat slowed, matching the quiet rhythm of the water beside me. And then I felt something unexpected. It was as if my entire body was gently floating, not lifting off the ground, but becoming lighter, more open. The heaviness I had carried for so long simply dissolved. My teacher spoke again, his voice soft enough to blend with the night air. When the mind no longer resists, sleep becomes a natural river. Let your thoughts be pebbles. Let them sink to the bottom. Your awareness does not follow them. Your awareness floats. As he spoke, I imagined my thoughts as small stones dropping into the pond, disappearing into the peaceful darkness below. And with each imagined stone, a new wave of calm washed through me. A memory tried to surface, something old, something painful, but before it could fully form, it softened into mist and drifted away. My mind was surrendering, like a child finally letting go. After a long day of holding back tears, my teacher placed his hand gently on the ground beside him. "Now," he said, "follow the sound of the world." I listened. At first, it was faint, the distant song of crickets, the rustle of bamboo leaves, the soft hum of wind moving through the night. Then the sound deepened. I could hear the rhythmic beating of my heart, the quiet flow of my breath, the steady pulse of life moving through every living thing around us. Everything was connected. The earth beneath me, the air brushing against my skin, the stars above, the water reflecting the moon, and Mij, another quiet part of the universe, resting in harmony with all things. My eyelids grew heavier, not with exhaustion, but with peace. My thoughts were no longer thoughts, they were little clouds drifting across the vastness inside me. My body felt warm and weightless, as if I were wrapped in soft layers of moonlit silk. Even the silence felt welcoming, like the embrace of someone who had been waiting for me. I heard my teacher's voice again, but it sounded as if it came from far away, from within the dream that had already begun forming inside me. Sleep is not an escape. It is a return. Return to yourself. Return to your breath. Return to the space where nothing demands your strength, where nothing needs your fear. His voice drifted into the stillness. Tonight, you rest in the cradle of the present moment. Let go of the past. Let go of the future. Let go of the story you have been holding. All you have is this breath, this softness, this silence. My mind surrendered completely. I lay back on the grass beside the pond, feeling the cool earth beneath me cradle my body. The stars above began to blur softly, their light flickering gently like tiny lanterns guiding me toward sleep. The air felt warmer now, almost like a lullaby touching my skin. Each inhale made me feel more supported, more grounded. Each exhale guided me deeper into the quiet warmth beneath me. My teacher remained sitting beside me, watching over me with the serene presence of someone who had seen many wanderers arrive at this same peaceful threshold. He didn't need to say anything more. The teaching was complete. As my eyes closed, I felt my breath merge with the breeze. My heartbeat merged with the rhythm of the earth, and my mind finally became still, like the pond reflecting the moon. I drifted, softly, easily, gently, into a sleep that felt less like falling and more like floating. A sleep where nothing chased me, nothing waited for me, nothing demanded my strength, only peace, only stillness, only the quiet, warm embrace of letting go. And as I drifted deeper into this boundless softness, the last thing I felt was gratitude, pure, effortless gratitude for this night, this journey, and this deep, serene sleep that welcomed me like an old friend returning home. As I slowly opened my eyes again, the world around me felt softer, dreamlike, as if dipped in a gentle golden glow. The pond beside me was still, calm, almost sacred in its silence. My teacher had not moved. He sat patiently, as though he had been guarding the doorway to my rest, making sure nothing disturbed the peace I had finally embraced. His presence felt like a warm blanket around my spirit, steady, rooted, reassuring. I rose slowly, feeling the lightness in my chest, the softness in my mind. Everything inside me had shifted. The tightness I once carried was gone, dissolved into the night like mist rising from warm water. There was no rush in my pulse, no weight pressing upon my thoughts, only a deep, quiet clarity. I felt as though I had returned to something ancient inside me, something gentle, something true. My teacher smiled. My teacher smiled, my peed, my kind, that holds galaxies within its silence. When he finally spoke, his voice was warm enough to soften even the coldest of fears. You see, he said, peace was never far from you. It was only hidden behind your worry. His words touched a place within me that I had kept locked for years. And in that moment, I understood everything I had been searching for: stillness, healing, sleep, release was inside me all along. I just needed to stop fighting, stop forcing, stop holding the world on my shoulders. He stood and motioned for us to walk back toward the monastery. The night had grown even quieter, the moon now resting lower in the sky, its soft silver light guiding our path. As we walked, the bamboo leaves whispered blessings above our heads, and the earth beneath our feet felt warm and familiar, like a home I had forgotten I belonged to. With each step, I breathed in gratitude. Gratitude for the silence, gratitude for the journey, gratitude for the soft unraveling of everything I no longer needed to carry. And as I returned through the monastery gate, I felt a final wave of peace wash through me, a sense of completion, of returning to myself in a way I had never experienced before. I paused, turning back for one last glance at the forest, the pond, the moon, the path that had held my footsteps. It was no longer just a place outside me. It had become a place within me, one I could return to whenever the world grew heavy again. My teacher placed his hand gently on my shoulder. I felt warmth radiate through me like a blessing. Tonight, he whispered, the world releases you. Rest with trust. His words lingered in the air, wrapping around my soul like a soft veil. I bowed my head, not out of obligation, but out of gratitude so deep it felt like light expanding inside my chest. As I stepped into my simple room, the lantern flickered softly, casting gentle shadows across the walls. The bedding looked even more inviting than before, warm, safe, comforting. I lay down slowly, feeling the earth beneath the wooden floor hold me as tenderly as a mother holds her child. The night air slipped through the open window, carrying the scent of incense and moonlit grass. It brushed against my skin like a final blessing. I closed my eyes again, and in the distance, I thought I could hear the faint echo of chanting, drifting through the monastery halls, soft, rhythmic, soothing. It felt like a lullaby sung not with sound, but with intention, and so, before sleep claimed me once more, I offered one last breath of thanks to my teacher, to the night, to the silence, and to the forgotten parts of myself that had awakened gently, without force. If you are listening now, resting with me in this moment, I offer you the same blessing that was given to me. May your mind become light. May your heart become soft. May your burdens loosen and drift away like petals on water. May sleep wrap around you like warm silk. May peace settle into every corner of your being. And may you remember that you are never alone on this path. The quiet wisdom of the universe walks beside you, breathes with you, and waits patiently for you to return to yourself again and again. Tonight, allow rest to be your teacher. Allow stillness to be your home. Allow sleep to hold you gently. You have walked far. You have let go deeply. You have earned this peace. Now, drift, rest, surrender. May this night bless you. May your dreams be soft. May your spirit be light. Good night, wanderer. Good night, gentle soul. Sleep deeply. Sleep safely. Sleep in peace.